طيب عدنا مرة أخرى إلى المنصة. أولى مداخلاتنا اليوم مع الأستاذ شريف العصفوري، الناقد والمؤلف والمفكر، غني عن التعريف. تفضل حضرتك، لنا متابعتك على طول.
Welcome to سلمينا. المداخلة هقولها بالإنجليزي وحد بقى يترجم بعدين. This is a tale about people being displaced forcibly, dispossessed, violated, robbed of their dignity, degraded by thugs and authorities over and over again. A repeated pattern of civil wars in faraway countries, even inside refugee camps. As if war at home wasn't enough, even in the havens of security and the safety of host countries for asylum seekers. Those lucky enough to be rescued are faced with racism, outright discrimination on account of gender, race, and faith. Set out in a refugee camp in the island of Samos, Greece, the narrative is divided into 6 books of 38 chapters, told by the protagonist in a polyphonic fashion. Chapters are named after their narrators, delicately ironing out the diversity of languages and styles in smooth, light-hearted language, treading gingerly on subject matters that are depressing, heart-wrenching, descriptive of the plighted people tested by the ordeals of displacement, life or fate have dealt them. We have been introduced to the tragedy of people from Syria, we've been introduced to the tragedy of the people from Syria, Sudan, and other countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo, Somalia, Iraq, Afghanistan. The craft of writing delivers us with an intriguing, multi-layered connections, a plot that has been sewn with patience and skill, complex web of conflict, historical complications, political and economical turmoil. The characters of the novel are real, made of blood and tears, faced with the conflicts of governmental vetting, abuse of power, corruption and collusion among border guards, traffickers, smugglers, horrific sea voyages, and at last, bureaucrats. To name just a few of the issues being touched: the Greek debt crisis, civil wars, dictatorships, torture, and suppression by government, and so forth. Still, despite the nature of the story, the language of the narration has succeeded in bringing me to laughter in some instances, and sheer amazement of the analogies and metaphor used. The title mirrors a dua, a good deed, al-amal salih, to grace the passing of a brother who had been conscripted into Bashar's army, but defected to the rebels and ultimately found his fate. The narration is dealing with at least 2 different languages, Arabic and Greek, with different dialects. Tried to express people's feelings, beliefs, thoughts. I wonder the reverse translation back to Arabic would be, ? How would one convey the sentiment of calling tan Germans pink whales? ? Making fun of lazy men at cafes with dangling testicles? ? Or green pea for cramped dodgy Fiat? ? How shall we translate fuck Airbnb? I noticed how different our literary cultures are. American vibrant and liberal language, and classical Arabic with stiff moral overtones. I wonder if the author is aware that amal means hope. Brilliantly depicted the shame and the disowning of the victims themselves, their condemnation of admission and telling it all to outsiders, the stigma of rape and carrying on the pregnancy, ? The conflict of honor within oneself and without. The narration in totality presented us with the dilemma: almost all the victims are women and girls. All the villains are men, even among the boat refugees. Haider stands out as a diabolical figure. Even in his physicality, is outsized. I am left with the question: if the world is governed by women, will it be a better world? ? There is a camaraderie among women in the Samos refugee camp. They pull together in face of all challenges. Love has been portrayed between mothers and children, dead husbands and widows, but under the stringent of gags in the life of the camps. Sadiq and Amina are a rarity in a narrative. From the viewpoint of literary anthropology, I discovered how different culture could make us. In a monologue by Helma, she's attracted to Jacques despite being twice his age, but disqualifying that attraction on account of being married, but in the same train of thought, she disparaged him as shallow and empty. I call that the syndrome, the shallow heart syndrome. In the same vein, Aziz and Mahmoud could not possibly either entertain or express the same feelings despite being the same age, between bracket late 50s. The description and imagery of Sofia, Bulgaria, is horrific and brutal. Also, when Helma says, quote unquote, men of strange speech are certainly a dime a dozen, that settles my question about the gravity of the feelings of the American woman who is just as tested as the women of the camp by her failing marriage and frigid relationship with husband and grown children. In Greece, Helma is deeply questioning her beliefs in Christianity and explores ancient roots of the faith with earlier pagan beliefs. Nafisa, the Sudanese, discovers the makeup of hate. Quote, haters learn to hate because they are manipulated by their leaders. Cosmos, the displaced Cypriot, derides his friend Helma. Quote, your people have voted for the fascist clown. End of quote. I wonder if clowns are offended for being mired with fascists. Question mark. We have a slew of fascists rising in the world of today. Again, Cosmos in chapter 20 declares, quote, the police here can be sons of bitches, end of quote. I couldn't agree with him more. Here and there, as a matter of fact. He described them as upholstered, quote, upholstered with fat. That made me laugh. Farah is a monologue. In a monologue, questions her God to the brink of blasphemy. Again, only in racy Arabic literature would such a monologue, or dialogue, as a matter of fact, would appear. She recounts her questioning later and accepts God's verdict. The plot of the novel thickens when an American woman, Helma, fights a court case to adopt a child, Dunya, against the claim of her mother. Farah, the lawyer, the court, the judges, and everyone else around the island of Samos are depicted with precision and insight. Their motives explored and demonstrated. The tensions were heightened to the highest level, explained by the language barriers, the strict laws, indifference of police officers, reluctant witnesses, thugs determined to mayhem and revenge. Yet at the end, it is delivered in a relief for mother and daughter and relaxing us tensioned readers, frayed and tried by horrendous tale of murderous regimes, marauding thuggery, extremism, disintegrated countries, inept international bureaucracy, and perversely unleashed. Finally, I discovered another problem in delving into another culture, writing about its people, describing a woman as a lioness, end of quote. Demonstrating its strength is alarmingly counterproductive, since lioness in colloquial Egyptian Arabic is an equivalent for bitch. That is not the problem of the feeble Egyptian translator of that. The novel is prefaced with a poem by Majid Nafisi. There, Odysseus is mentioned, reminding me of my novel, The Return of Ulysses. A protagonist, Sadiq, has been approved for asylum. Then he was moved to Thessaloniki, the title of another novel of mine. The history of animosity between Greece is because of that displacement with Thessaloniki and Smyrna. The latter's name was changed to Izmir, right next to the island of Samos. That is where I set the stage for my novel. Someone in the audience today told me we can't discuss that novel. The plight of the refugees and illegal migration from Africa and Asia, haughty issue to be investigated by literature. This novel is first-hand accounts of victims and sufferers. Despite its cultural revulsion and depiction of the grim realities, the reading was smooth and enjoyable, sailing through. I would like to dedicate a poem by another woman, Emma Lazarus, for the fascist clowns running the world today. Not like the brazen giant of great fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here our sea-washed sun gates shall stand, mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles, from her beacon hand. Glows worldwide welcome, her mild eyes command the air, bridge harbor that the twin cities frame. Keep ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she. With silent lips give me your bed, tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I left my lamp beside the golden door. Thank you.